Okay, so let's talk about Japan and religion. I lived in Japan for 3 years. Of course, I'm not Japanese, but I still love this topic. And one thing I've noticed over the years, and I've talked with many Japanese people about this, is that even in antiquity, Japanese people didn't really fight for Shintoism. Apparently Nobunaga, and there were some disputes around that time, I guess in the Sengoku period, correct me if I'm wrong, historians out there, but there were some fights over some aspects of Buddhism, I believe, okay? So there was a little bit of that. However, for Shinto, they never really had that. And it doesn't seem like that anyway, unless I'm wrong. I've never heard it before, though. I'm not a historian. I'm just some guy on TikTok. But like I've talked with many Japanese people, and they confirmed that, you know, there was never any like I fight for Amaterasu. You know, I fight for Fujin or Laijin. You know what I mean? Like they never fought for their gods. It seems like they never really fought for their gods the same way that like the Vikings seem to have, or especially people in Abrahamic religions have and still do, you know, one could say. And I just find that interesting, like the way they participated in religion, the very way that they were religious is a different mode entirely, really, from the mode of Abrahamic religions. And that is sort of something to wrap your head around at first, but then once you think about it more, it's not all too surprising, because why would the whole world be this one way, you know, unless they're converted? And Japan, notoriously, were almost going to be converted, and then they you know, it's called the period of national isolationism, which is sakoku in Japanese. Sakoku is literally the kanji for chain and country. Sa is chain and koku is country. So sakoku is where they kicked everyone out and no foreigners, mainly because of they were trying to get Christianity out of Japan. And it wasn't that they were against the religion per se, as you've seen with Shogun, the show. They basically, like, how do I say this? They were afraid that Christianity was going to open the door really to them being conquered politically and just completely, you know? So they wanted to just nip it in the bud, as it were, and just drove everyone out. And then you get stuff like Silence at that point, the Shusaku Endo, you know, book that Martin Scorsese based the movie on of the same name. And that's about Christians in Japan that have to remain silent. And at that time, whenever they were driving them all out. And to go even deeper on this topic, you know, the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. I'm less familiar with Islam, to be honest with you, but I mainly know Christianity, I suppose. And, you know, they, the very first topic is creationism, right? How did the world and the universe get made? It all begins there, in the beginning, right? And I think that this very idea influenced, this topic influenced the West to a great degree. And I feel like it influences our interest in the Big Bang and all that. But in Japan, they don't have that as much. So I feel like there's less interest in the Big Bang just because there's no debate about it. It's just some cold scientific topic that they don't care about because there's no real controversy surrounding it at all whatsoever. Also, like the average Japanese person, they know about Shinto to a degree, but not really that deeply, and Buddhism as well. But there's seemingly almost no interest in where the Shinto gods came from and who made them, etc. Right? There's no interest in creation, seemingly, really. And Buddhism also, I'm pretty sure, like kind of famously, is kind of not concerned with the creation of the universe, because I believe the Buddha said that thinking about that won't lead to enlightenment. So Japan and the East in general, stereotypically, just aren't like that. They're, and to go even deeper, I had a conversation with a Japanese friend that said that basically the West is concerned with tsukuru, T-S-U-K-U-R-U. Tsukuru means to make, simply to make. And while Japan is concerned with naru, N-A-R-U, which is to become or becoming. It's kind of like, the way I interpret that is, Japan is concerned with naru, meaning how things are becoming or how things are existing as is now. This is all stereotypically, of course. There's, of course, Big Bang researcher scientists in Japan, astrophysicists. Of course they exist, but just stereotypically, culturally, that's what I'm talking about. And like the kami, and God is actually not a great translation. The kami, really you could say, are basically spirits. The word God in English, has that slant of, the Christian God, which is a certain type of God, and kami's not that. Okay? So anytime somebody translates kami as God, it's always incorrect. So spirit's probably the closest thing, honestly. And yeah, it's just the kami. How are they becoming? How are they existing? How do they make up the world? Maybe make up is a good way to say it. How are they making up the world now? And they're, not that they're not interested, but there is a lot less general concern, I'd say, with the idea of creation and stuff. One time, this Japanese girl said to me, like, she kind of almost jokingly said, why do Americans always talk about space? And I think that we're really concerned with it because of the controversy laid down in the culture via, via Genesis, and the story of creation. So all that stuff is just so interesting to me. They just think about it differently, and that's why people, glom on to their culture. So like I have, like, you enjoy that difference. You get to see a broader perspective of really everything whenever you think like that, whenever you see a difference like that.